Danny and the Portal of the World. Text-to-speech version, Part 4 of 12. Chapter 4. A visit to Katie's farm place. As far as good for the day, Danny was whisked straight out of the house instantly. But there he saw a big surprise. There were 4,982 Jeeps and SUVs right outside the house. And quite suddenly, Grandpa Garth took him by the hand and said, "We are having a visit to Grandma Katie's farm place. Her farm has the best foods ever. We come here every month to pick the crop." Suddenly, a clatter of pots and pans rang loudly from the kitchen. Then a loud clatter of shouts and hullabaloo was heard outside of the house very loudly. "Stop, boys! I'm reading the newspaper. I told you Elvis. He's serious, and gimme my blue teddy bear immediately." "No. You gimme my lucky hat first. Because you stole it." "Did not. Did so. Did not. Did so. Kevin. Elvis. Come here at once," shrilled Garth's voice from the outdoors. His voice seemed like a scream that a kid would have made. And Kevin and Elvis quickly ran out of the front door and bumped into Garth. "Now you two had been very naughty," shouted Garth's voice. "You Elvis, telegraph everybody in this house to run and rush to the SUVs and Jeeps. And you Kevin, take the main telegrapher and alarm everyone that we are going to Katie's farm place." Grandpa commanded them to do. Then, immediately in one split second, all the relatives made a mad rush to the SUVs and Jeeps. It was like a sea of people that at any moment it was going to fill the cars till they were full to the brim. And at the head of the cars, there sat Danny, Grandpa Garth, and Jane Hoopenbiller. As soon as the first car started, the whole group of cars began speeding out of the yard, leaving a trail of a giant cloud of dust that seemed to choke anyone who passed by. Every car had a deep dark sea blue paint sprayed around it. And at the wheels, there sat the most wonderful thing of all. The rubber was a shiny black and the metal in the middle was bright, glittering silver. And as the cars rushed through roads one by one, the people standing by thought it was a long, gleaming and sparkling long truck had quickly driven on the main country highway. The Jeeps and SUVs made a terrific roaring sound that was so loud that people could barely hear their own voice. And through the front window of the leading car, Danny could see a giant parking lot, and beyond that a road that seemed to disappear in nature. And further away, Danny could see a shiny red barn. It was as radiant as shining jewelry. What's more, there was a colossal mass of farm animals stretching from yonder tree to a greater green pasture. And certainly, nothing else in the world was more beautiful than what Danny had seen. Beyond everything, there was a giant castle whose shadow loomed over everything like a dark blanket. The castle was so gigantic that the great blanket was expanded over what it seemed like thousands and thousands of acres. And as the 4,982 Jeeps and SUVs drove forward, a giant parking lot was centered between a path of trees and plants that was just behind Katie's castle. Instantly, with a loud, roaring noise of the engines, Grandma Katie burst out of the castle, holding in her hands a large pot of the same breakfast that was in Grandpa Garth's house. Her voice was mild and pleasing. "Hello. Looking for more breakfast or picking the crops?" shrilled Katie's voice, and everybody shouted, "We are here to pick the crop." Everybody shouted except Danny, who blushed in embarrassment.